The Tennessee Titans have had the Eagles' number in recent years. I think when they as since they've been the Tennessee Titans, the Eagles have only beaten them one time. So the Philadelphia Eagles have had a lot of issues with them moving all the way back since they've been the Houston Oilers. When they were the Oilers, the Eagles had never lost to a Houston team, but when it comes to Tennessee, they brought it against the Eagles. And the two things that I was really worried about when it came to the Tennessee Titans was Derrick Henry, who is a great running back, an amazing running back. Does so many great things, is such a great power back, can catch the ball, can do so many things, and is really the Tennessee Titans offense if you really looked at it. Right? If they lose him, they're very one-dimensional. But hey, last year they ended up going to the playoffs without him. And then the other worry that I had is the fact that they're very scrappy. The Tennessee Titans, I feel like, really play this psychological warfare game against a lot of teams. And that's how they win. That's how they win a lot of their games, by just kind of picking at you, toying with you, getting you upset, making you want to do things that you don't want to do. Kind of reminds me of Reggie Miller. If anyone remembers Reggie Miller, he was one of those players he was kind of an agitator, right? Kind of like shove you and while the ref wasn't looking, and then you just huge push out of the way, and then the ref would be like, foul, right? That's kind of what the Tennessee Titans are. That's kind of what I feel like their identity. They play this psychological warfare game with a lot of teams. They'll get you in their heads, or you'll get them in your heads. Excuse me. But this was one of those games where those were the only two things I was worried about. I wasn't really worried about Ryan Tannehill. He's a good quarterback. Kind of has an injury at this point, but I wasn't as worried about that. And with the Eagles' really bad running game, I wasn't sure how the Eagles were going to approach that. But you saw the outcome. You saw how the Philadelphia Eagles just went out and won that football game, 35-10, 0 second half points for the Tennessee Titans. A.J. Brown, who he had played with the Tennessee Titans last year and for the last 3 years, I think from 2019 to 2021. Great receiver for the Tennessee Titans. He wanted a new contract, and Tennessee was like, nope, we're not going to give you a new contract. We're going to go ahead and ship you to Philadelphia. And a lot of people have been saying that that's one of the dumbest things that the Tennessee Titans have ever done. And I can't really say that that's correct. Obviously that was a decision that they made. They drafted Burks to be that kind of same player that A.J. Brown was. But if you look at A.J. Brown's impact on the Philadelphia Eagles this year, it's night and day. I don't think we've had a receiver like him since T.O. I'm not going to say that he's the same receiver as T.O., but in terms of how big both of those guys are, I believe T.O. was a little bit taller, but A.J. Brown just plays with that sort of swagger that we just haven't seen on this team in a long time. And paired up with Devontae Smith, they've just really made a really good group. And A.J. Brown went out there and scored 2 touchdowns. Now, it's really unfortunate what happened to Burks. A lot of Titans fans might think that was a dirty hit by Marcus Epps. I don't really know Marcus Epps to be a dirty player. In my subjective opinion, that was just him trying to jar a ball loose. And unfortunately, it kind of lit him up. And yes, I do think that was, I don't think it was a dirty hit, but I do think that it was a vicious hit. And I think that it was correctly penalized. That was correctly called a penalty. And, with the amount of concussions that we've had in the NFL recently and over the time and this whole CTE thing, man, we got to make sure that we protect these players. I'm all in favor of that. It was unfortunate, and it was correctly penalized. really the only blemish for the Philadelphia Eagles was the fact that every offensive lineman was called for a penalty. Almost everyone on the starting Eagles offense was called for a penalty, some sort of procedural penalty. I don't know what happened. The guys just seemed unfocused. I think it was Greg Olson who talked about how they were making this Christmas album, and I thought to myself, yeah, I can see why a lot of people might blame it on that. Even though it might not have anything to do with that. You need focus in these games. You need focus when you have really winnable games. You can't have these penalties. They absolutely kill drives. Now, luckily, the Eagles have done a really good job in the past at, if the drive is going poorly or we're getting sent back, that they're good enough that they can try to get those first downs or get close to getting those first downs. Really short fourth down situations so that they can get the first down. So, I was impressed by this win. The whole thing was making sure that you make the Tennessee Titans one-dimensional, because once their number one receiver wasn't there, then all they had to lean on was the running game, and they couldn't really lean on it. So the interior defensive line, this was our best, in my opinion, this was our best game stopping the run. Derrick Henry didn't do anything against the Philadelphia Eagles. Really, it was all on Ryan Tannehill, who just really didn't have it in him to win that ball game by himself. And you saw that when the Eagles had the ball on offense, Jalen Hurts was slinging it. He was making smart decisions. Last week, it was all about running the football. This week, now that we're playing a team that's really good against the run, it was all about slinging the ball. And Jalen Hurts did a great job slinging it, giving it to Devontae Smith, giving it to A.J. Brown, giving it to Quez. Really, the real difference between the Eagles' offense in the last 2 weeks and this game was the fact that these backup tight ends were making an impact. Now, I don't know if it's because the Titans don't have as good of a pass defense, but Calcaterra, Jackson, Stoll, they were doing stuff, whether it be blocking or whether it be catching the football. They were making an impact on this game. And you can really look at them. They can't do everything that Dallas Goedert can do, but they made some sort of impact. And a lot of people might be looking at, why didn't the Eagles run the ball? There were situations where I questioned that. But the fact that I think the Titans are number 2 against the run, it's really like, okay, maybe we really didn't have to all game. Sanders did get his touchdown, but, Jalen Hurts, none of his touchdowns came from inside the red zone. They were all deep passes. So, he had pinpoint accuracy, and I hope it continues. And, again, besides the penalties, it was pretty much a perfect game. And the Eagles stepped up and came to play, won their second game against the Tennessee Titans out of 6 or 7. I've seen some pretty bad Eagles games against the Tennessee Titans, so I'm glad that the team won.